So, that being said, hello to all of you I like when you guys put out the names there, right? You're from South Carolina, Southern California, Melbourne, Aussie. Oh man, I've been there. I
Aussie.
love Australia. Let me tell you, if they would change their policy. When I was 42, I went to teach in Sydney at Macquarie University, and I lived in a beautiful little area called Potts Point, which I really didn't realize that this section of the city was near the party club section called Knightsbridge. In my apartment, if I turned right, I was in Knightsbridge. If I turned left, I was in Potts Point. So people kept saying, "Tell people you lived in Potts Point." you because Knightsbridge was a wild party area that I did not know about until one night I was restless on a Friday night. Couldn't sleep. I went out and there were like a million clubbers, chicks in like mini skirts up to the hoochie. And I was like, I've been sleeping through this the entire time I lived in Australia. I did not know Knightsbridge was like wild, and I mean, it was club after club, never went to any of them. So that shows that I'm old. And I was in my 40s and old. I was like, I'm partied out. So I know that I've told you guys that I love Australia. I went running every morning. My turnaround was the Sydney Opera House and the ferry station at Circular Quay, and then I would turn back around, run through all those beautiful bays, all the way over to Elizabeth Bay, which I loved. I'd buy a house if an apartment if I could live there. But Australia's awesome. So welcome to you guys from Australia who are spending your evening watching this because you're 24 hours out. And Mikey from Chicago. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you guys have made a community here. I understand somebody's in Salinas. I live near Salinas. I lived in Monterey. All right. So anyway, um, I'm glad you guys have made a community out of this. So please interact with each other, interact with us. Someone is monitoring your questions. And with that, let's talk about the important things that we have to talk about. Jacob, my
Yeah.
co-host from Danish Intelligence, doing the full-on reverse James Bond, driving that awesome BMW he has out there. Where you going, Jacob?
I'm going over to Funen. I should have good connection. There'll be a little bit of an interruption because I have to cross that 20-kilometer bridge.
Wait, you're going to
In
Sweden?
about no, to Funen, just the other side, the western side of
Oh,
Copenhagen.
okay.
So yeah. So,
Is it
but no worries, no worries. I'm
all
all
right?
good.
We'll watch. Just don't have any accidents. And on the other side
What?
is our Saudi Arabian geopolitical analyst, Wajeeh the Gay Lion, who's up wearing more of his headgear today. He's looking more and more like a Shia imam. What's going on with that? Yeah,
That's
yeah. Habibi.
actually the dress code of the old people in Mecca and Medina region that would wrap this with a turban, but when they're not wrapping this with a turban, they're just putting this and they have this. And then they would go and have a traditional mizmar dance, which is dancing around the fire.
Wajeeh,
Uh,
I
ah,
have to ask. I have to ask. I'm sure you are, but are you a Haji?
Haji,
Have you gone to Mecca for Hajj?
I've gone I've gone to Mecca for Umrah, not for Hajj, but
Umrah.
Umrah. I have done Umrah more than 100 times.
Umrah is when you go to Mecca, but it's not for Hajj season. It's when you
Yeah.
go in between. You must have committed some crimes because in the United Arab Emirates, whenever you commit a crime, I mean, like a serious crime, like, sexual assault, beating someone to death or something like that, generally the prison term that you get is an Umrah. You have to go to Mecca and you
No,
got to pray away
we
your sins.
we lived. My family lived in the outskirts of Jeddah, and Hayya al Fawaz, where we lived 15 minutes away from Mecca.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so we were that close to Mecca, and
Did they
having
knock your
have
neighborhood down and build now a Rotana hotel or a Taj hotel? Because that's all I
not
see
yet.
being built in Mecca now are 5-star hotels.
No, not in Mecca. Yes, they're destroying everything. Couple of my family have lost few of their lands in Mecca and few of their lands in Medina for
Mhm.
expansion because uh my dad's grandpa was the founder of the Holy Library and the second holiest mosque. And we come from that type of religious line in the Arabian Peninsula.
Okay. Well, you tell you what, you can
Well,
go
I
on
want to
Hajj with me.
defend you, by the way. I want to defend you. Some people think you're outing me every time you say Wajeeh the gay lion.
It's
That's my
literally
name.
all over your. It's
That's my
literally
name. That's literally
that's
my name, guys.
no one's outing this guy. This guy's big mouth can take care of itself. None of us are going to be able to.
I
I'll
just
tell you,
want to put it out there.
someday you'll be able to. We'll be able to go to on Hajj together. All right.
One day,
So
one day.
that being said, gentlemen, let's whip out the coffee cups. Jacob, I know you. What do you got? Like an aluminum travel cup? Look, he's got a bottle of water. Okay. What do you with that American Embassy Riyadh? We got to up your game there, Wajeeh. We're gonna have to get some
My
people to
goal is to
mail you
become the
coffee cups.
U.S. ambassador to the United
Okay.
to the kingdom. You know?
You guess where I still am? I'm in the land of the nice people. So I've got my Canadian cup, but I swear I'm going into town where I got to have dinner with my mother-in-law, who I love, and she lives in Old Montreal, and I all around her are those crazy gift shops, and I'm gonna get a mug with like a beaver as the handle, a Canadian Mountie on one side, a moose on the other side, and it says Canada flags everywhere. You know they got 'em. I'm gonna get one. Cause why have a regular old dull Canadian mug where I can fill it full of maple syrup for breakfast and, prove that I'm a real Canadian? Of course, I will instantly have a diabetes overdose or something. I'll get type 1 diabetes. Alright, that being said, good morning. Welcome to the continuing war and slash or ceasefire that is going on with Iran. First, a little administration for those of you who have not subscribed, the 1,100 of you that are here that have not subscribed to Jacob or Wajeeh, there is a little rondelle at the top that says Black Man Spy. Press on that, it will pop up. Press subscribe. Please subscribe. Also, share this podcast in your notes, telling people, please subscribe to Malcolm. He needs to get to 100,000. I just need 2,500 more free subscribers. Also, if you really enjoy this and you like the camaraderie and you are not a paid subscriber and you can afford it, I know we have some subscribers out there who are on fixed incomes. We had a great teacher out there who was helping school, at-risk youth, and actually, I think she was a nurse, and just said she was on a fixed income. I hooked her up. But for the rest of you who are out there, if you can, please become a paid subscriber. This is our only income. It's $7 a month to get all of this incredible information, cheaper than Patreon and all the rest. And I understand that we have like the lowest subscription rates on Substack, man. There's some people out there, like even some of
Oh,
these
really?
pro Trump crazies out there, like Glenn Greenwald and these other guys. They charge money. We don't. We actually, if you can't afford it, don't bother with it, because we want to impart this information to you so that you are smarter, can make better informed decisions. That is the entire nature of the U.S. intelligence community. Next, those little hearts that you see fluttering up down there, that little heart symbol, press that 5 or 10 times. It will tell the algorithm this show is going and that you love it, and it will bring on more people. When we break 2,000 viewers per day, we rise up in the tables on the world politics chart, of which we are now number 9 on the world politics chart.
Oh,
Woohoo!
And we are exceeding people that I'm like, that person's a real expert. and then they let us on. So we must be doing something right. All of us are, a rising tide raises all boats. So please hit that little heart button. If you're watching this on YouTube, you have already missed the live broadcast. Come over to malcolmnance.substack.com, subscribe, free subscription. You don't have to buy anything. And you can watch this live as we're seeing it right now. That being said, now that we've taken care of the administration, the jokes, and the coffee cups, Wajeeh, do you have the casualty count in the Middle East
Yes.
right now? What is the casualty count? Look, I'm switching from coffee to San Pellegrino, so you know it's something else.
Yeah.
Read it for us.
Iran is 3,375 to 7,650 killed and 26,500 injured plus. Lebanon 2,167 killed, 7,061 injured. Israel 40 people killed, 7,453 people injured. The United States says 15 killed. U.S. government yesterday admitted 400 people injured, but according to my numbers, we're getting 538 plus injured. The Gulf states that include also, we are including Iraq in this one. 150 people killed approximately and 700 plus people injured. I just figured that we add those up because there's just so many of them.
Yeah, that's good.
And then I can move to. Here you go.
Oh, what?
Yeah, Wajeeh.
Sorry about that. WTI is at 92.09.
Jumped a bit.
Brent crude is at 96.4.
That's up a bit.
Morban has dropped a little, 100.38. And then OPEC is at 109.
Don't worry about it. All right. I saw a report this morning that spot crude, physical crude oil in the Red Sea and Oman is going at $200 per barrel. That's not futures. That's oil that exists. And there is now a black market. Remember how I said my entire 20 years of living in the Middle East, I had people that would come up to me all the time and say, Malcolm, I have a friend. He has 500 barrels of oil. If you help buy another 500 barrels of oil, we can sell this in Oman. We can bring it by truck, go over by Oman. We make 3 times the price. I did not believe that person. I'm such an idiot. I always miss these great buys if I was dishonest. But what he was doing, he introduced me into there is a world of oil runoff, oil that's recovered from spills, oil that's being smuggled from Iraq and other illegal countries. This is my friend who has a friend, and they come and they have physical oil. I mean, one time I just wanted to see how this worked. And I went and I inspected it. And it was a warehouse of physical oil barrels, drums of oil. A lot of it was runoff. A lot of it was what we call recovered oil. Like there would be a spill at a facility. They would be in the sand. They would sift it and they had a way of draining it. Right? And it was good oil. It wasn't like they cut the tops off and filled it with oil. This was real oil because you could put a probe all the way down it, right? And check on the quality of the oil. It would be tested. These guys it's legit. This has been like since the first time they found oil, people have always had a way to black market the runoffs and cast-offs of oil. So that is now at $200 per barrel. Yes, Jacob.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Brent, for instance, and the difference between the spot market and the futures market, it's very high, and the the spot market is in general, now you are talking about Oman, is around about 150. And there is this belief in the market, that this will be normalized. And futures market is for, they were talking about June. The people I spoke, there's this belief in the market that there'll be a normalization before June. Believe it or not, but yeah, that's what is so strange, because you have actually Trump this week taking oil off of the market,
Yeah.
and usually it should lead to a price hike, but it's gone the other way, and that's because Trump can talk to the market, and they believe that there will be a normalization. But with every day that this difference in the prices continues, it'll be a snowball effect when this stuff goes awry, goes sour, and we start all over again. So it'll just
Yeah.
be a big it'll just be a bigger catch up once that happens.
Normalization would have been $67 per barrel. There is no way we're going back to $67 per barrel before June.
No.
There's just no way. They're going to profit take all they can. Also, now that Trump has blockaded the additional oil that was flowing out of the Gulf, right? Now the market prices around the world are going to start increasing as these demands increase. He thinks he's doing this for a week. And I've said this. I was on Mario Nawfal's show yesterday. As you know, he's a big favorite of Elon Musk. And he's got 7 million followers. I said, Mario, you think you're going to go back this giant gap of 47 days is going to restore itself? It's like a rainstorm of oil that will just fill it back up in a day. No, not at all.
In a day.
Sorry, we're getting a little feedback there.
But
You're on speaker there. You should put
you're
your
on
mic off.
speaker there. You should put your mic off, Jacob. Sorry.
That's okay.
There's something.
I'm hearing myself or whatever.
I'm hearing myself.
So that being said, the market is not going to normalize. And as long as it's not going to normalize, this is just one of those things you're going to have to deal with is the price of oil, but it's being close to $100. Yeah, all you got to do is turn your microphone off
when you're not talking. Yeah.
We're all getting an education in this. There it is. Good. All right, Wajeeh, I would like to go on to talking about the blockade. The blockade is in its third day. Woo! We've got so many things to track. Let's take a look at the blockade. First off, as you know, there has been a lot of criticism of this blockade because the blockade is actually cutting off the remaining oil that was coming out of the Strait of Hormuz and helping other countries like, I don't know, China and India and Pakistan. These are countries that were desperately needed. The oil going to India was so desperate, the need, that India convinced the Trump administration to raise the sanctions on oil that belonged to Iran. So technically, this is weird. We're blockading oil that's not sanctioned, but oil that belongs to Iran. It's bizarre. So anyway, that being said, here are the routes of vessels that have been coming through the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, can I comment on that?
Okay.
I don't know if you know, the sanctions alone cause around 500,000 deaths around the world, mostly children. Nevertheless, talking about blockading source of energy and source of uh, uh, planting If you cut that off, people are starving and starving even more. You're going to cause even more deaths. You may not see it in front of you because we live in the United States, but a lot of people in third world countries, they're already facing hunger. They already don't know how to feed their children, and they're dying. This is
Yes,
not helping.
because the Gulf states are the largest exporter of urea nitrate, which is also known as fertilizer. The basis of fertilizer comes out of the chemical process of distilling and refining oil. And sub-Saharan Africa, the Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, is going to go through a Donald Trump-initiated famine. But let's be honest, Donald Trump hates black and brown people. He hates them. He's a white supremacist. He's closing 17 embassies and consulates in Africa. He has surrendered the entire continent of Africa to China as 1.5 billion people as business partners and consumers. He doesn't care about them because he thinks he hates black people. So if you think him making an argument that this is starving children in Africa and Asia is going to make any difference, it's not. Let's be honest. Okay? He operates on two principles. His primary principle is, will it make money for me? Right? His other principle is, do I look like I give a fuck about other people's pain and suffering and anguish? And the answer is no. So, the great urea nitrate shortage of 2026, and it's going to get worse because China had a backlog of it, but understanding that they could have their own food shortfall, they have forbidden all sales of fertilizer from China. They're waiting for it. You go to Home Depot and Lowe's right now, buy your fertilizer because it was $3 last year for a giant 50-pound bag. It's going to probably be $6 to $10 later this year, as the planting season in summer goes. All these stuff were coming from China. Right? Most of our stuff comes from China in bulk, and now it's not coming. Supply has been disrupted, as somebody just wrote. So, moving on to that, I want to talk about the blockade. The blockade has now changed. The blockade initially started based on the lawyering from the Pentagon and the Department of Justice that they were going to only seize vessels that originated in an Iranian port that was carrying oil that was attempting to exit the Gulf of Oman and the Strait of Hormuz. This, of course, is the Strait of Hormuz. This area back here is the Gulf of Oman, right? I said they would do the blockade from over here, which is Bandar Jask, going down here to Dibba, over that way. Well, that's right. Dibba's there. Anyway, this is Fujairah, one of the largest oil ship holding port areas in the Middle East. It's on the eastern side of the Strait of Hormuz. It belongs to the United Arab Emirates. So they're enforcing this blockade here across the short part. What this does is this keeps them from having to confront the Iranians. So the purpose of this is so that there isn't confrontation. However, you can stay in Iranian waters over here, all the way over here, practically to the Pakistan border. This is the port of Chabahar. They're also boycotting this, right? Barricading this. But most of this, there's only 6 Navy ships involved in this. They're doing it mainly with aircraft that are tracking you, and they're keeping track of you and giving warnings. But today, obviously, since we were making a lot of jokes about how they were only going after tankers originating in Iran, and that the shadow fleet of Russian, Iranian vessels that were associated with breaking sanctions were just sailing on by because they were coming from Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates, or they were spoofing the AIS, which is tricking the AIS into believing you're in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, or Jubail, Saudi Arabia, and then sailing out, waving goodbye as you went out. Another thing is this image, the traffic separation scheme is 100%. The Iranian TSS is now the standard. This is one of the sanction breakers that we talked about the other day, the Starry Rich that was off Al Quwain. It went up to Abu Musa Island to wave at the IRGC guys there, came back up, went into the Iranian traffic separation scheme, which now outbound south of Lavon Island, right? After you've paid your toll, inbound ships, you stay in Iranian waters, you go deep into Iranian waters, and you come in between Larak Island and Kishem Island, and you come in. You know why they wanted to do that? Make sure you're not a warship or a ship carrying materials for the United States or Israel. Now they've got visual confirmation on every ship coming in. To go out, you paid your toll. See you later. Bye-bye. So this is the way that it's going. And these were 3 sanction-breaking ships. This one came from Fujairah. It's empty. These ships came up, and they're going to Karg Island to load up on oil. And guess what? Even if they can't get out with the Americans, that oil is sold. Right? It'll sit there. So that oil is sold. So the Iranians, they're making money. They don't care about this blockade. They know Trump will raise this in a week or so because it has now, again, it's like getting a cut on your shoulder and you're bleeding, right? And then Trump puts a noose around your neck to act as a tourniquet to make sure no blood is going to your brain. It's crazy. We are blockading it wasn't even a blockade, it was a toll booth. And now we are hurting the oil market more. So utterly amazing. But now I'm going to talk to you about the changes that were made to the blockade. The blockade is no longer vessels going to Iran's port. It is all vessels going in and out who are going near Iran, who may work for Iran, who are associated with Iran, who have had contracts with Iran, whether you are Iranian or not. Here's the new thing. In addition to enforcing the blockade, all Iranian vessels with active sanctions, vessels suspected of carrying contraband, are subject to belligerent right to visit and search. These vessels, regardless of location, are visit board search and seizure, VBSS. That's what we call it when we drop people on your boat. So they're saying they don't give a fuck where you are in the world now. We're now going to 100% embargo anything going to and from Iran, which will only make prices worse. Thank God. I'm glad that Donald Trump has got it. Here's the problem. He thinks this is going to intimidate the Iranians. It won't. It won't. They don't care.
This morning, they said Trump said the new name for this operation is economic fury.
Are you shitting me? I saw that yesterday, but I thought it was a joke. Economic fury. Yeah, because they're going to be some furious economists pretty mad at Donald Trump here in short period of time.
Oh my God.
All right. Okay, there's more. As if that wasn't enough, the United States decided to update its warning to warships. Now, I have taken part in blockades, and our warnings were always very professional. And I'm going to tell you, because what we would do, and the reason I know the warnings is we would transmit in English, then Arabic, then Farsi, right? And since I was the Arabic linguist on board, it was usually my job to broadcast in Arabic, and they would record it and play it over and over again. And it always went like this. This is United States Navy warship side number, right? Whatever your side number is. This one's 112. This is United States Navy Warship 112. This area is under United States Navy blockade. This area is under United States Navy blockade. All vessels transiting to and from this port are subject to visit, board, search, and seizure. And they'd repeat that over and over again. None of this. And now I've got this fucking statement that clearly was written by the White House, right? And I'm like, who the hell are these guys? You don't go and read paragraphs of legalese there. Now, listen, this is the current boarding warning we're giving from the U.S. Navy. Listen up.
The U.S. has announced the global blockade of Iranian ports and postal area. This is illegal. Vessels are advised to immediately return to port if it's discontinued to our port call. The United States British blockade. Vessels will be boarded from interdiction and seizure. So it's foreground Iranian port. Turn around and the bear be boarded. Not comply with this blockade, the use force. The whole of the United States Navy is reinforcement plots.
Play it again.
Could you raise the volume, please?
Immediately return to port if we discontinue transit to Iran if that is your next port call. The United States breaches blockade. Vessel can be boarded from interdiction and seizure. So it's foreground Iranian port. Turn around and the bear be boarded. You do not comply with this blockade, you will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is reinforcement plots.
Okay, it's hard to hear. And what you would hear on Bridge to Bridge, if we were monitoring channel 16, and I actually think that there's a internet channel here that we can actually listen to channel 16, you would be hearing, first off, mockery. Because a lot of these ship captains do not give an F about what you just said. Second off, that was so unclear as a professional who has taken part in this. I had a hard time following it. And it's like, wait a minute, was this written by Stephen Miller at the White House or it's Pete Hegseth? The entire force of the U.S. Navy will be brought to bear. It's like, what? Yes.
That's Pete Hegseth.
What?
That's Pete Hegseth.
That's Pete Hegseth. Right. It's just like, I'm going to draft a cool statement for dudes with ships. And we're going to go out there and we're going to, there was one thing he said, turn around and prepare to be boarded. And it's like, what the fuck? No, that's not the correct phrase, right? Come to, heave to, right? Reverse your course or prepare to be boarded. You would only say prepare to be boarded when they are preparing to board you. This is a generic all ships in the entire Indian Ocean. This is the United States Navy. And it's like, you don't even know how to fucking broadcast a decent ass warning correctly. And you're right. It's Pete Hegseth, right? It's Pete. That's a political warning, right? What did he say? This is lawful. The United States Navy is initiating a blockade that is lawful. No. Now, okay. I don't want to ruin it for people, but there is a guy who used to be in the Philippines, in the Arabian Gulf called Filipino Monkey. And for years of wild, mad entertainment. That's all I'm going to say is this guy would hear something like that and he would broadcast the most hilarious put downs that you could ever hear. Filipino Monkey. And he always started his transmissions with, "This is Filipino Monkey. I am broadcasting somewhere in the Persian Gulf." And it was a Filipino guy who lived there for years, because over 10 years, I heard Filipino Monkey. Famous. Somebody Google that shit, and you will see how famous. I'm going to check it out right now. Filipino Monkey was insanely famous. Insanely famous in the Persian Gulf. And his whole thing was... his whole thing is that no one knew where he was because international bridge to bridge is linked together from the northern Persian Gulf to the southern Persian Gulf community. Here it is. context of the Gulf and Dubai refers primarily to a long-standing anonymous radio prankster. I know who Filipino Monkey is. I have met Filipino
No,
Monkey.
you did not.
Oh, I used the full force of U.S. intelligence. I tell you,
Oh,
he
no.
was so shocked. I was, okay. Anyway, this guy was hilarious. Hilarious. And he would come out and say something like, U.S. Navy blockading my dick. So, is this a cock blockade? This is what he would do for hours and hours. Oh my God. I could literally repeat to you an hour of jokes and shit Filipino Monkey said. And I have it in my memoir, right, about when we were fighting the Iranians in the southern Persian Gulf. He had shit to say. He would, if Filipino Monkey is not still there, I would have thought they would have transferred the job over, right, when that guy retired to another guy. Oh, help me, Jesus. Filipino Monkey is one of the funniest things I ever heard in my entire 40 years in that region. But he would be having something sharp to say about this. And to tell you the truth, I'm halfway tempted to create like a AI video of Filipino Monkey in the present thing. So if any of you are good at AI video, what's this? Here's one. Mischievous Filipino Monkey could have triggered the latest U.S.-Iran row. This is from 2008. Starting wars and ending them because he's a lover, not a fighter. So anyway, that being said, he would have something to say about that broadcast like, America, when did you stop? When did Pete Hegseth get on your ship radio? He would just be making jokes. Oh my God. That being said, so the United States has now imposed a new blockade on the blockade. Nothing comes in for Iran. Nothing goes out for Iran. If it looks like Iran, we take it. Ay, 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 ay. Well, that's not working out too well. Here is an update from the Joint Maritime Information Center saying that an announcement that any vessel, the blockade applies now to all vessel traffic, regardless of flag. Any vessel entering or departing the blockaded area without authorization is subject to intercept, diversion, and capture. The blockade will not impede neutral transit passage through the Strait of Hormuz to and from non-Iranian destinations. Neutral vessels may still be subject to the right to visit, board, search, and seizure to determine the presence of contraband cargo, humanitarian shipments, including food, medical supplies, and other goods essential for survival of the civilian population, will be permitted subject to inspection, which is what happened yesterday. So this is the Joint Maritime Center that used to be at our naval base in Bahrain. I guess it's in somebody's apartment. Guy sitting back with his fleet up, putting maritime notes out. So now the sanctions are for everybody. But wait, Malcolm, is the blockade holding? Well, not according to one of my favorite websites, tankertrackers.com. This guy tracks merchant activity all over the world, and now he has decided he's going to take a closer look at the embargo. He says, breaking visual confirmation, Iran has shipped out 9 million barrels of crude oil from its floating storage in the Gulf of Oman since the U.S. blockade went into effect on 26/4/13. Another 2 million barrels departed on the 12th. So they have already shipped out 11 million barrels of oil, and this forced that change in the blockade.
You gotta tell Mario what's up, because he's tweeting all over X that the U.S. has blocked all the ships. So
yeah, but Mario puts out all the notices. He only does his analysis with experts on his feed. So, it's not him who's actually retweeting everything. Here's another
Makes
one
sense.
he put out. Also, Iranian tankers are still exiting via the Strait of Hormuz into the Gulf of Oman. Then they stop and await further instructions. We count 3 that did that just in the last couple of days. That notice was put out 1 hour ago. So they're coming out and they're like, okay, we're just going to hold in Iranian waters. But guess what, biatches? That oil's been sold. Cha-ching, cha-ching. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. This is like blockading the VIP room when all your favorite clients are inside, right? They still getting lap dances. They're still getting paid, right? Girls are still making money, especially Crystal with a K on stage too, right? This is what Donald Trump, he really thinks we're cops outside of a strip club that's full of men. Strip club's still operating. All right. Okay, that in mind. Okay, so that's U.S. Central Command has put out that notice that interdictions are being interdicted. With that, Jacob, you got anything you'd like to say before you cross over the bridge? Oh, he says, I have to leave. Dental appointment. We'll finish watching later. Look at that. No, that's Susan Falzo had to leave.
I crossed over the bridge and I'm all good. So, that's I think what's happening there is pretty much what we suspected, isn't it? And what we said would happen. So, no surprises, and it's just meaningless. But the big thing is what will happen with these. There's a lot of optimism going around in media about these so-called negotiations that are going to happen, but that's very, very loose. I will say it's unlikely.
Very
Yes,
unlikely.
I agree. I agree. According to my game theories, the peace negotiations are not going anywhere.
Wait, stop. Okay. We always have crazy breaking news, but this news just broke behind me that has nothing to do with it. Virginia's ex-lieutenant governor killed his wife and himself? What? Justin Fairfax. That guy had, like, years ago, he had a sexual assault allegation against him. And he walked away from it. He got out of it. And, that's freaky. All right. Okay, guys, do me a favor. When we're done with this podcast, I want you to go out and go for a walk. I want you to go out and I want you to smell the roses, right? Take a nice cup of coffee and espresso. Whatever is going on in this world is not worth having all of this internal pain and suffering that people have. And I'm sorry to tell you, I blame a lot of this on the current political environment. And although we as intelligence professionals have to deal with crisis all the time, right? You as consumers of this information shouldn't have to have this consume your life. It's bad enough. The world is changing for the better, even with this war. We're seeing a pushback of oligarchy and a rise of democracy again based on people power. That's your job, but that's your part-time job. It is not your full-time job to have to deal with the craziness and madness in the world. And yes, Wajid.
Yeah, that's our job right here.
It's our job. Yeah, let us handle it. So that's shocking to me. That's really horrible breaking news. I was just going to another site. I was going to another site to go look at that. And so with that, we're going to go to question time. And I have been asked to turn off the monitor for question time because people don't want their emails out there as they're getting their questions answered. But again, we want everybody to do like Jacob. Get in a nice expensive car, go on a nice expensive ride, have a nice expensive Danish double espresso because Denmark is expensive. and live life, and live it to the fullest. That's all I'm saying, folks, because that level of pain and suffering is not worth the effort. Okay.
Even I have to go on a walk to feel like a human being, exercise, do something.
Yep.
We have to take a break.
Very true. Okay.
Yep.
Questions. Today's questions, we're only going to take the ones that pertain to activities. There they are. Okay. Guys, why is Trump still sending more resources into the Middle East, like troops, military resources, to be exact? You have to understand something. When they say 10,000 more troops have entered the Persian Gulf, 8,000 of them are the crews on an aircraft carrier. Okay, that's one ship. 6,700 on a carrier and almost 1,000 on the 4 or 5 other warships that are there. They are not like army troops, okay? Very few army troops. I think we have less than 6,000 shooters in the entire Persian Gulf region, if the 3,000 airborne troops are still sitting in the Jordanian desert, right? And the 1,000 special operations troops in there. So you cannot calculate all those numbers. 90% of them are on ships, operating ships. Or air crews or aircraft. There's 35, 40 guys per fighter jet that goes in the air. And if we have 100 fighter jets, there you go, 3,400 ground crew. Okay, that was Terry Lee, PhD. Good question. Kelly Horton says, what do you think about China's response to their ships being turned away? I think that will change shortly. All right. Trump is always going, he's en route. He's going to China. Is it the end of next week or the week after? So you could be dang
He
sure the blockade will be lifted on Chinese ships.
he had a phone call with President Xi yesterday, where he promised Xi that there will be a free flow of the sea in the Strait of Hormuz. But what I think President Xi thought of that was, oh, he's going to let our ship through. What Trump meant of that is the same thing that's going through his head, where like he thinks Iranians told him they're opening the strait, so he's opening the strait. But what's the reality is that no one came through. So China said before that they're going to send their own military ships to escort their own ships. And Pakistan said something similar. So the United States is going to have to make some hard decisions soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but here's the worst part. He's going to go to China and he's going to be a babbling idiot, and he's like, I took Chi for all his money," and we know where it's going to come out to some agreement that like 1,000% benefits China, and he'll go, because he's my friend. After calling him an enemy every day, he'll go, I'm allowing China to have Iranian oil transit as a sign of goodwill. No, bitch, you bent. You bent over and China got you. Ay, 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 ay. Okay.
Like yesterday when he posted that crazy thing about freedom of navigation and how he would give Xi a big bear hug when they're meeting shortly. So,
Yeah, he
yeah.
did say that.
You think that guy wants to be squishing old diapers and colostomy bags in his arms? No. No. There won't be any bear hugs. It'll be like, okay,
Crazy.
thank you, Kelly Horton, for that question. Murphy's friend says, do you think Iran might barter oil for ballistic missiles from their neighbor, Pakistan, who does play both sides of the field? No, but I'll bet you they will barter straight up goddamn cash money with North Korea for missile components and manufacturing and processing. I said this before, I'll say it again. Iran is going underground. The first things I think they'll buy from China are underground tunneling machines, not fighter jets, not air defense, underground tunneling machines. And they're going to go, the entirety of Iran's armed forces is going underground. We've learned our lesson on this one. In 5 years, we'll never be able to get to them. And by the way, I don't know if you know it, a MiG-29 and an F-4 Phantom fighter jet flew yesterday in Iran. there is an underground air defense base, but Iran doesn't care about fighter jets anymore. They'll want air defense that'll be underground. They prefer ballistic missiles.
Yeah.
Sharon Rousseau said, is is the U.S. trying to cut off all three of China's gas oil suppliers to hit the BRIC currency move and protect the U.S. petrodollar? That's Russia, China, or Russia, Iran, Venezuela. I don't think they think that deeply. What do you guys think?
Who doesn't think that deeply?
That Trump doesn't think that
No.
deeply, like, I'm going to get Russia, Iran, and Venezuela. I think he thinks, oh my God, I can own 2/3 of the world's oil supply.
Yeah.
Like a fucking baby.
Yeah. It's not a five-dimensional chess. This is just his simplistic calculations and his urge to come out and look like the grandmaster of everything, regardless of the realities.
Okay.
This is Don Zhu 101. The guy says, if I don't know what I'm doing, the enemy doesn't know what I'm doing. So that's basics.
I swear to God, I'm publishing that book. I'll write the foreword for it. Okay. Jennifer Hammam has a question. Waj, I'll pass to you. It's a private question. And Robert Bender wanted to know if your family was compensated for their lands and in Mecca. Were you guys compensated, or was it given as a gift to the kingdom for the keeper of the two holy shrines?
It was compensated, but not to the fair extent of the price.
Alas, a gift to the keeper of the two holy shrines. What part of Saudi Arabia is Jeddah? Chris asked. It is on the western part of Saudi Arabia, south towards Yemen. Look for Mecca, and then look a little bit below it.
Halfway between the kingdom, in the middle. Look in the middle.
So on the west, on the Red Sea.
Yes.
Brandy Dawn says, why have American fatalities not increased with so many injured, serious strikes? None of them have died from injuries. No, we are really good at stabilizing packaging and bringing people back to the United States for full treatment. That's pretty normal. If they hadn't died in the first day or so, they have a great chance of surviving. Let me see. Denise Clover says, I heard the last of the tankers who made it through before March are arriving at their destinations. Will we see future market jump up because the lack of oil in between? I think as we see it consumed, right? For 8 weeks of oil, right? Buffering that's been consumed, I think there's going to be a new oil shock. Mr. Global, if you go to Mr. Global on Twitter at Mr. Global, and his TikToks videos are outstanding. That guy will explain everything to you about oil and how oil moves. Much better than I can do here. He says we're past the oil shock.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in oil deprivation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one thing to add to that is that Australia yesterday, one of their only 2 plants that processes oil exploded, and they weren't able to keep it under control until this morning, our time.
One of their 2 biggest oil refiners, and Mr. Global came on and said, I hate to say I see a conspiracy theory in things. Yeah, ... Suddenly, after Australia is going through the greatest oil and fuel crisis of all time, one of their 2 biggest refineries blows up. You guys know Nance's law, right? Nance's law of intelligent kismet. Coincidence takes a lot of planning.
Yeah.
Coincidence takes a lot of planning, and I do not believe in coincidence. I am not a supporter of what we called Fleming's dictum, Ian Fleming's dictum. Once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 3 times is enemy action. No, coincidence takes a lot of planning. I just assume it's enemy action. And now, look at us. Now we're in freaking conspiracy theory world. It's not a conspiracy theory when Australia is now at the edge of collapse in some industries and the price of oil, and one of two refineries blows up.
No.
Yeah. No, $10. Somebody has either decided the price gouge or some individual in that country said, let's get that money, right? And now Australia's going to suffer. Let's move
But about
on.
Mr. Global's statement, as you brought up the other day, Malcolm, Tuesday, I believe it was, you can just look at what the International Energy Agency has said, the
Right.
IEA, and that's basically the same thing. So,
Yep. Let me see. I'm going to skip some of these questions about Trump and fatwas in religion. Did Garg Island get damaged by the United States? No. The facility's still good. This is from Denise Watts. The facility's still good. We hit air defense systems there before the ceasefire. We are now getting satellite imagery of Lavon Island and Siri Island, and the United Arab Emirates attacked them at the same time the ceasefire was going, right? And they blew up their 1 million barrel oil storage tank on each of those islands. So it was enough the Emiratis wanted to get their licks in. Jay Carpenter says, what do the Omanis think of putting an oil terminal on their coast? They have one. They have it at Salalah, right? And the Iranians blew up the oil tanks. Right? Now, I'm telling you, the Emirates and the Saudis need to look at a oil pipeline that's underground going across the Rub al Khali to southern Oman. They need to start doing joint operations. Okay, Hugh Cullerton says, what if NATO calls Trump bluff, participates in a coalition with a plan, Pakistan, etc., and put peacekeeping naval squadron between the U.S. and Iran? That would be fun. That's not going to happen. They're going to come in at the end, just like they've done in every war. The Dutch, the Danish, the British, the Germans, and the French and Italians have very large minesweeper squadrons. And when this war's over, you're going to see them all transit to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, hook up with the Saudi minesweepers, come all the way around, and they're going to start sweeping from the Gulf of Oman in the old traffic separation scheme. And when that's cleared, that is the only time that those merchant ships that oil companies will allow them through. Not now. Lloyd's does not trust America. They don't. Not at all. All right. Guys, that's it.
yeah.
Post the warning in the chat. Oh, okay, I will post. I can do that. He wants to put that video of the U.S. Army's warning in the chat. So I'll do that. Thank you for coming exactly to 10 o'clock. Now, I want you to remember, please, everybody, go take care of your family. Go take care of your friends. Don't doom scroll Twitter and Substack. I know Wajeeh writes 2 major articles a day. You can read those. But don't do this until tomorrow. Come back tomorrow and then get the update on what's going on. But until then, please ignore what's happening in the world and try to make the world a better place. And definitely take care of your mental health and your family. That article was shocking to me to hear a guy like that after 3 years of accusations and everything. He just horrible. Don't do it, folks. But before you go, if you are watching this on YouTube, please come and subscribe to malcolmnance.substack.com. Subscribe to Wajeeh and Jacob as well. And become part of the community, right? Come and communicate with each other in the chat. We'll get the chat set up. And you guys can talk, but we do want you to go out and have a good life until tomorrow. If anything major happens, like the entire ceasefire breaks down, then we will do a special Substack live. But until then, have a nice day. All right. Take care, Jacob.
You can also join my weekly Q&A tonight. Eastern time, 3 p.m., 9 p.m. European. My weekly Q&A.
All right. Wajeeh.
And I have my daily Q&A usually right after Malcolm's podcast, just to answer some questions about the Middle East. If you want to come in, you're welcome to. Appreciate everyone tuning in.
All right. Okay, folks, I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Have a nice
See you
day.
soon, everyone.